criminal justice system, the people are represented by two separate yet equally important groups: the police who investigate crime and the district attorneys who prosecute the offenders. These are their stories.
You understand you're charged with 40 counts of aggravated child molestation, that you could receive a maximum sentence of 30 years in confinement for each count, that you're charged with 34 counts of child molestation, that you could receive a maximum sentence of 20 years in confinement for each count, that you're charged with one count of sexual exploitation of children and you could receive a maximum sentence of 20 years in confinement, and you're charged with two counts of influencing witnesses and you could receive a maximum sentence of 10 years in confinement for each count, and that you could receive a minimum sentence overall of 10 years on probation. I'm telling you the most and the least. You understand that?
Actually, Your Honor, it would be 10 years for aggravated child molestation, and then it's 10 years in confinement.
But on them would be 10 years. You understand that? You understand you have a right to an attorney, and in fact, your lawyer, Mr. Aurora, is here with you and representing you. Is that correct? I'm going to inform you of certain other rights that you have, Mr. York, and inform you of the fact that if you plead guilty, you give up these rights. You have a right to trial by jury, you're presumed to be innocent, you have a right to confront any witnesses the state presents against you, you have a right to subpoena any witnesses you want to appear and testify for you, you have a right to testify and offer other evidence if you want to, you have a right to the assistance of an attorney during the trial, you have a right not to incriminate yourself. You have a right to plead not guilty or remain silent, not in any plea, and in either case automatically obtain a jury trial. You understand these rights, and understand if you plead guilty, you give up these rights. You heard the recommendation the state made. Is that the recommendation you understood the state would make? Did you, in fact, do what the district attorney, Mr. Bright, told me you did? How do you plead, guilty or not guilty, as to all the indictments that were cited by the district attorney? Did anybody force you or threaten you in any way to cause you to enter this guilty plea? Did anyone promise you anything to cause you to enter this guilty plea? Are you satisfied with the services of your attorneys, not only Mr. Aurora, but your other attorneys? Were you able to hear and understand my statement some questions to you? He's under oath, let him enter his plea.
Yeah, we've drawn up this withdrawal of not guilty plea and your guilty plea, and if it comes down to the defendant both trial case, withdraws his plea not guilty in this case, ways to constitutional rights, pleads guilty as charged with offenses of. I've already enumerated those on the record. They're the same ones I've enumerated on before, Your Honor. I signed on behalf of the state. After signed on behalf of the state.
The reason they gotta preach his innocence, because even if they acknowledge his guiltiness, that whole Nawabian shit goes away. It got to get torn down because he's the root. You destroy the root, you destroy everything else with it. So they got it. Go ahead, sis.
The interesting part is, like, this man is also a habitual liar, because the whole image that he created himself to be, claiming to be a part of this royal El Mahdi family, that's all a lie. You know, it's like through DNA evidence, it was proven that he's not related to no El Mahdi family in Sudan. He's not Sudanese. That's like a whole fake facade that he created of himself to seem like he was like royalty or somebody of importance, when he wasn't. Like, his father was from, Boston, and, that's where he was from. That's where his family was from. New York area. His daughter did genealogy research on their family. And it was a proven fact, like, no, your family is not from Sudan. None of that is true, what he said. And I think the older I got, the more I started realizing, I was like, wow, he was a habitual liar. A lot of things that he said wasn't even true. Like, even down to how some of the property was purchased, it was like, like insurance scam and stuff like that. Properties being burned. people being like scared out of the neighborhood. Even some murders happened, so it was like behind all this, oh yeah, we're this holy Islamic community, it was a lot of criminal activities going on, like as if it was some type of gang. It was a lot of criminal activities going on. So it's like when you actually do your research, behind something, you think, oh, it's so beautiful. It's a lot of shady criminal activity that was going on, bank robberies, all type of stuff. Like I made sure to read, because I didn't know what this organization was about, because I was a part of it, and I can only talk about from the inside. But when I left, I said I want to find out what this organization was about that I was involved in my whole life. And I got to read and find out, like, wow, it was so much more to it than what I thought it was. Even when he moved to Edenton, he started harassing the locals in town, the sheriff and everybody else, because they wouldn't let him build certain things on the land, and they wouldn't approve him for a permit. So he started making flyers and talking crap about the sheriff and everybody else in these flyers, and they were passing it around the town of Edenton. And then it went from that to people was like stalking the sheriff's child, leaving a dead carcass of like an animal in front of his house. Like, it was a bunch of crazy stuff, like a lot of people don't even know that happened. And then he was trying to pretend like he was the one being picked on. He had Al Sharpton come out there, and the mayor of Macon, and like, oh yeah, they're trying to pick on me and whatever, when he was out there starting stuff with people. And that's what made the sheriff of the town of Edenton investigate even more, and to find out who is this guy, what is going on. And
So
to be
Ava, you
honest,
said he put a carcass on the sheriff's house.
yeah.
Okay.
It's like do your background check on. Yeah, it was a lot of stuff that he was doing. That this man, he was doing a bunch of crazy stuff.
Let's hear from others as well. Hold on one second. Go ahead, Twanda.
Hi, my ex in college stayed on the community for a very short time, and I think he left because of the conditions, and he might have seen some things. But when he talked about him, he would call him Imam Isa all the time, and he would say that he can not shapeshift, but he can pop in and out of existence. So sometimes he could be Malachi York, Dr. York, Imam Isa, or all these other names. Sometimes he's in a bunker, he's in a cave, the government's looking for him, and I'm like, what? And even after he got in trouble, I noticed his followers, or the people that were in his community, or the people that worship these little they would pass out these little booklets that were they had all this Arabic writing on it. It was like small pamphlets, very powerful books. It had a lot of knowledge and a lot of deep stuff, a lot of universal knowledge, hidden knowledge, but they were still passing them out they really idolized him, and they spoke very highly of them, trying to persuade you to follow the religion or the path. So I was shocked. I was like, do they know what happened to this guy?
Family, where you from, King? All right.
Southern Sudan.
You authentic.
Authentic.
Wait a minute.
South Sudan.
You are Arab.
Huh?
You are Arab?
I don't like.
Let's leave that one alone.
Yeah,
all right, so let's go with this one. Because I want to talk to some of the Nuwapians, right, that are claiming that Nuwapians, Malachi York and them, has some type of connection to Sudan and El Mahdi. Is that true? All right. So that's not at all. Now, again, is Al Mahdi and the real Al Mahdi and the Sudanese people taking instructions from gay homosexual or
Not even
bisexual
allowed.
deities.
Not even allowed.
Say that again.
Not allowed.
All right, so I want y'all people to. I'm not reading this from a book.
That's a sin.
This is facsimiles. This is facsimiles right here. I got a person actually from Sudan who knows the history of Sudan and knows if Malachi York is saying, you know, Malachi York says that his teachers are beings, right, that are channeled through the DNA, right, that came from Sudan, but came from out there in their homosexual beings. Homosexual. So, is the Sudanese people gay friendly?
No, not at all. Absolutely not. No homosexual, no same-sex marriage, not anything that goes against natural law, which is nature.
Right.
Natural law.
Right. Here we go again, family. This brother right here has
a sword needs a pouch.
Say that.
A pouch needs a sword.
Right. That's right. So here we go. This is another new Black World Order TV production. You're hearing it straight out of the mouth of a Sudanese. There we go. Right? So if y'all, that's what I suggested some of y'all do. You need to actually talk to people straight from Sudan. Instead of talking to people that's trying to tell you that the Sudanese people have some type of connection to this gay homosexual agenda, this fuck shit. Right. Now, would the Sudanese people participate in a gay parade?
No, sir. It won't even happen in Sudan. As soon as you say we're having a gay parade, whoever announced that, the secret police, secret service will come, arrest you, throw you in life.
So if the Nuwapians went to Sudan and began to teach such a doctrine, would they be accepted with their gay homosexual ideology? What about hermaphrodites? This shit is getting more weird as we talk about it, right? All right, so there you go. You have it. This is another new Black World Order TV Productions.
A lot of those books that people are passing around is like York plagiarized those books. He was stealing information from different people and putting that in like one book and like making it as if it was his information when it wasn't. And he wasn't the one writing the books itself. It was like women that were basically working in the office from sun up to sundown, working on the books while he was in the house.
Who was he plagiarizing it from? Like certain authors? Do you know any like the other authors?
I know Zachariah Stitchin. He used some of his and whatever other people. He was like taking their information and putting it in the book and stuff. I honestly did not read half of those books, so you can't ask me. It was just, it's like most of it I looked at as like kind of creepy, like some of them, especially when he was like talking about aliens and this and that and the reptilians. I was like, I don't want to know about this stuff. And like supposedly like this ship was supposed to come and come to the earth. Nibiru was supposed to come and whatever, and it was supposed to come to the earth and it was supposed to be like this alignment and whatever going on. It was always like as if it was like end of days, as like he was prophesizing some end of days stuff. So
wow. I definitely want to hear from like others on the stage as to what they know about Malachi York, and the doctor is more or less a self-assigned title that he gave himself. So if you know anyone who knows anything about him, definitely ping them to the room. Guys, Karanda, you've been trying to speak. What do you know about Dr. York?
Yeah, I know a little about Malachi York. I know that most of the members that was with him was doing all the child molesting too. Not just him. It was a lot of people doing from the Ansar days. They were molesting children all the way up to when he moved to Georgia. And I think there's one of his followers in this room. But,
Who is it?
The guy, I think his name Kafu Ray.
Is it where is he? Like at the very bottom, corporation?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think he's.
I'm just listening, trying to soak it up.
But you're on stage. Oh, I didn't realize that you were on stage. Okay. Go ahead, Surrender.
Yeah, I'm just like that's what I know, but I can't understand. I was like, I heard his children tried to set him up, and that's what I heard a little about him, his elder children. And I just heard a lot of people talk about him from their own perspective of what they know, but they wasn't never in the nation, but they just heard things about him, and it was a lot of rumors going around about this man. But I don't know if he did it or he did. I can't say nothing about that. But I know other people they was molesting children. All right, I'm there.
So I have a question for you. Hold on 1 second, Ava.
Okay,
I have a question for you. What makes you feel like you don't know if he did it or didn't do it? Like, what's the hesitation? What's causing the hesitation on your
end? Because the people in the organization were doing things on their own, and he didn't know about it. And that would land him in a lot of trouble, because he had to deal with them and tell them, look, don't do this, don't do that, I'll take care of it. And they were putting him in a lot of trouble. So the people in the organization really brought it down.
But what about those that said Malachi did it themselves, like Tariq, Issa Johnson, and others? Issa Johnson wrote a poem about what York was doing.
Those are young children, though. Most of them children that I
they
noticed.
Lying?
I'm not saying they lying. They was molested.
Remember her? Okay, so if you're saying they were molested, right? And her question is, what make you question about York? You shifted from York to talking about what other people was doing, not what York himself was doing. You see how you did that?
Let me tell you, I know what those other people were doing.
Okay, that's fine. We can talk about. Hear what I'm
saying.
Surrender. I want you to zero in. I just want you to zero in on her question. The question is not about the other people. We could talk about them, of course. Her question was, what made you question York? And as you were speaking, I responded with Issa Johnson's poem and what Issa Johnson said, and then also responded what Tariq said, and you said they were molested by him.
I didn't say they were. I said they were molested. I didn't say by him.
Okay, so now let's zero in here. If they say they were molested by York, her question is, what makes you question York? Let's zero in right there.
What make me not think it was him or it wasn't?
Right. Yeah, what make you question that it was York? Right. If you got people saying, hey, let me reframe, let me help you out. If you got people saying that York did it to him, what makes you question that York didn't do it to him?
Because of the members, they was doing stuff on their own. He didn't have no control. And children, when they young, anybody could come in a situation and do anything.
So is your position to say,
are being told?
If I could phrase what you're trying to say a little clearer, I think what you're trying to say is, are you trying to imply that York took the blame of others? Is that your position?
He probably did. Let me tell you.
Okay, just say it like that, and that clears up.
All the people on the land, for the most part, had no clue. A lot of people had no clue. The majority of them had no clue, except for the little clique of individuals who was a part of this, right? So what does that say? And especially the greater public, all of us who were students of the master's teacher who was on the outside, we definitely had no clue. I know Chuck didn't have no clue. Tarnoon nobody had no clue about this stuff. I never even heard it as a rumor, to be honest with you, right? About these incidents and issues. So what's my point? My point is this. But Dr. York was an extremely public individual.
Always teaching, always talking to people, always around
public.
People. Yeah.
Dr. York has got to have been one of the most public black leaders. Let me do this like this. Dr. York has to have been the most public, accessible black leaders, influential black leaders that we probably has ever had.
You said public accessible, like access to regular people.
Access. access, that stood up for 30 years, question and answer classes. Anybody can come up to him and question him, talk to him, ask him all kinds of things. Lived with the people. He was completely public, not private. He had no private little cubbyhole mansion. He was off to the side, away from the people, like the rich and famous. You know, we don't have access. We got access to Michael Jordan.
Okay, in their daily lives and all that stuff.
We don't have access to them. We don't have access to LeBron James or Wesley Snipes or these individuals. You don't have any access to them. You with me on that?
Right.
Dr. York was just the opposite. I can see someone like Bill Cosby getting all these charges on him. Well, he's a public figure, but he wasn't public.
You said his private, he still had a private life.
Yes, a lot of people didn't have access to him. So because he had a private type of lifestyle, who knows what's going on behind closed doors? That's
Thanks for watching. My name is Jutar Bo'unawanet, and my name translates to First Step to Black Justice Power for the Ethiopian Race.